Today I'm so pleased to welcome to our Bloom Talk studio Melanie Isaacs. Melanie, we're so glad to have you here with us today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Melanie has a background as a marine biologist, and she is the founder and chief inclusion officer for a wonderful organization called PAL. Melanie, tell us a little bit more about PAL.
Sure. So PAL is on a mission to make venues more inclusive for guests with autism and related disabilities. So the same way a ramp helps a guest who moves differently access, our tools help guests who think and communicate differently go out into our community and have a good time.
That's wonderful. Sounds like it makes really great places more accessible for a broader group of our community. But I'd like to start today by kind of going back a little bit and hearing from you about the beginning of your inspiration and some about your journey.
Sure.
So when you think back to your aspirations as a girl and a young woman, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was very little, I loved to organize things, and I wanted to be a maid, and I was set on that.
Yep.
And then my family took me to the Shedd Aquarium in Chicago, and I grew up in Wisconsin. No oceans near me, but when I went to that aquarium, I fell in love. And so from about 7 years old, I was set on becoming a marine biologist.
That's exciting. So you decided fairly early
Yes.
what initially you wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So did you just head that direction through high school and right into college, or what was that kind of decision-making journey like for you?
Yeah. So, it wasn't a straight line, but I knew I wanted to work with animals. So being in Wisconsin, those options for me were more around vet. I worked with some different vet centers. I explored being a veterinarian, but really the ocean was my passion, and still is. So I absorbed books, and in high school took all the science classes and kind of tried to map out my journey to becoming this thing that I pictured for myself. So I studied zoology for undergrad in Wisconsin, and learned kind of all the science basics that would keep me on that map, that road map. And then for my graduate school, I studied marine biology and zoo and aquarium management.
And so what was your first job?
So I was at JCPenney's, a sales attendant.
Nice. In
the sports department. Not related to fish or interest, but I knew it was a means to get me where I needed to go. And I had never worked in customer service, and that really gave me a lot of good skills. I was kind of really focused on the science role for myself, not thinking of the people part, but working there and communicating with different guests, and
right.
It was very valuable, even though it was not animal related.
Right. Well, it's wonderful that you were able to see that connection even early on, I think.
It's easier to see now.
Yeah.
But I stuck with it for quite a while, and saved up for trips back to the ocean and
right.
things like that.
That's great. So was that in college that you were doing
that? Was in high school.
In high school, okay. And so when you started to think about your college choices, what helped you to determine, you mentioned zoology was your undergrad, and then you went on to marine biology for your graduate program. So what helped to determine your educational choices? How did you make those?
I knew I needed to be challenged, and I knew I needed a university that had kind of the toys I wanted to play with.
Right.
So that helped me kind of choose University of Wisconsin, and grew up a Badger, so that was kind of a good fit.
That's great.
I also knew from my research that marine biology was not an undergrad major for lots of schools, so I needed that science foundation, and so I was focused on starting with that and then kind of expanding. My first job was actually a volunteer position, but I moved to the Cook Islands in the South Pacific and worked for their Ministry of Marine Resources.
Sounds amazing.
It was great.
Yeah.
Really good exposure, beautiful ocean,
based on that experience, what role do you feel respect played in your ability to be successful in that leadership role?
Everything. Because I remember the first week, I was like, okay, I had just learned all this stuff in school. This is what we need to do. And, that is not being a team player. Right. That is me entering this whole community who has known one thing, and you're not going to be listened to, accepted, or become part of the family that way. And right. by slowing down and just kind of asking lots of questions and building relationships and really focusing on finding a common ground, not coming in and just lecturing from what I had learned overseas.
Right. And it sounds like, what a valuable lesson to learn at that point in your journey. And it sounds like you have continued to rely on that kind of strategy of respect and relationship building throughout your career. It certainly must play a role in what you do now in your current role.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to be confident and to know what you want to do. But even with our work with PAL, you can't enter a room blazing like, oh, we need to do this.
Right.
That's not how you're an effective leader. It's not how you're an effective activist of change.
Right.
You need to be respectful of the process.
Right. That's a valuable. When you think about the concept of a leader, and especially a strong woman leader, we've just talked about respect. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a wonderful characteristic, even a skill, I guess we could say. And you talked about really this ability, I think, to foster relationships is another element of that story. Mm-hmm. What else comes to mind when you think about being a confident and effective leader?
I think the best way to really get your passion across, or your point, or your objective, is to lead by example. And I think that's the most respectful way to do it as well. So even thinking back to the cooks, we would live the way we wanted to live, but slowly, others would kind of notice, ask questions, and then it's becoming a conversation instead of a lecture.
Right.
So I think, leading by example and living the life that you are preaching is tremendously important.
Right.
And the most effective way a leader can really make her point.
Yes, absolutely. Part of the Bloom program is about exactly what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. It's about you sharing your journey so that I and others can learn from it. And so we do that in a formal way with a mentoring relationship. And you are going to be a mentor for us this rotation, and we're so excited to have you as a mentor, and one of our students will get to be paired with you for conversations like this.
Awesome.
What do you think is the role of that kind of mentoring? And again, that's a label. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of relationships that become kind of a mentoring relationship because we learn and grow from one another. But what does mentoring mean to you? And have you had someone in your life that you feel was a valuable contributor to your journey in that way?
I've had a lot of people who have added so much value. And I've had one mentor who's really stuck out, and she was an advisor for my thesis when we were doing this first program. Uh-huh. And she was the first person who believed in this kind of weird crossroad thing I was exploring. And she was is so bold. And I think that's what I needed. I needed someone to say, like, yes, no one's done this, and that's okay. You can do this. And, I was really moved by that, and felt for the first time like, yes, I can do this. And it's okay that this doesn't exist, because I think it should. And if I believe in it, that's enough.
Right.
and I can give it a shot.
Right.
And she was my advisor for that project, and she now serves on our board and is a dear friend, and
that's great.
Continues to challenge me. And I think that's really what a mentor needs to do. She's a friend, and she's kind, and I trust her with everything. And she's also great at seeing something and saying, like, what's the goal here?
Right.
And, I've got lots of friends in my life. I need someone who can really challenge me and help me grow in that way.
Kind of ask the hard questions.
Yes.
And challenge you to
Yes.
be objective and courageous.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
wonderful.
Her bold answers and her own leadership, and she's leading by example. So I can watch her blaze these trails and feel a little more confident to blaze my own.
Right. I love what you said, Melanie, about that mentor in your life, not only being bold, but really both challenging you and encouraging you to go for what you believed in. And what you said, I just want to capture that it's okay that it didn't exist. It's enough that you believe in it.
Yeah.
And having someone to say that to us can make all the difference in the path we take and the things that we try, even if no one has done them before.
Absolutely.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things certainly a mentor can do for us all. Talk to me about leadership courage and what that means to you.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes to kind of being okay with stepping out of your comfort zone. And that was another, I keep talking about the Cook Islands, but that was another thing I really, really learned there. A lot of times I was in a very new place. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the culture. And that was all very exciting and outside of my comfort zone. And the more open I was to these new experiences and this new way of living and, not having a shower with hot water, the better I was at being open to it and growing from it. So I've taken that lesson and really used it a lot. So the second I feel uncomfortable, I know I'm doing something that's probably good.
Right.
Because I'm growing from it. And, it's the easy stuff will always be easy, but if we really want to be agents of change, we need to be stepping out of this box that's drawn for us and be bold and be uncomfortable sometimes.
Right. I think that's a wonderful perspective. And as you talk, I'm reminded of this concept of cultural competence. And it's a topic I think that comes up frequently in many workplaces, and is not always. Sometimes it's interpreted as a series of check boxes or a training course. But I really think it's what you're talking about, about being open and respectful, and being willing to learn about and accept other cultural preferences, and helping everyone to feel comfortable while doing that. So
absolutely,
it sounds like you really lived being culturally respectful and accepting, and I think that's a form of confidence.
Yes, and I think it's such an important exercise for everyone to kind of step back and think of what that means. And with our work with PAL, that's really what we're doing again. Kind of this idea of inclusion and how our community is made up of a diverse group of thinkers, and really trying to get our community that has intellectual and developmental disabilities to participate more can be so beneficial, not only for them, but for everybody.
Right. Such important work that you're doing, and so wonderful.
Thank you.
For our community.
Our vision is to expand nationally and create more communities where everyone gets to go, and build these inclusive neighborhoods where not only folks with disabilities are benefiting by going out into the community, but as a whole, we're better off if we're all included.
Right.
And so that is the vision, But as we know, one ride on a bus could change it again. And
absolutely.
So being open again to that change and adapting as we go.
How exciting. That's a tremendous vision. It's a very exciting one. I'm so glad that our paths have intersected.
Me
so that
too.
We can see how all of that goes.
Yeah.
So if you were to say one thing to the girls of today who will be our future women leaders of tomorrow, what would that one thing be?
To trust yourself and know that it's okay to be uncomfortable. And in fact, you become a stronger person when you are. Confidence is something I've worked on forever, and I'll never be done with that, but it's really important, and you're enough.
So, trust yourself, and you're enough.
Yeah.
Melanie, I want to thank you for being here with us today and sharing your tremendous story, your really exciting vision. And I've been inspired, and I know that our audience watching has been inspired as well. So if someone watching the video wants to know more about PAL or get involved, where do they go for more information?
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity. This was really fun to kind of look back.
That's great. I like
and
it.
all of our stuff is at palexperiences.org.
Okay.
And all of our resources are free to families. We're very proud of that. And so you can find all of our PAL videos to help you prepare for a new experience, and our mobile-friendly PAL guides to help you communicate and navigate while out and about.
That's great, and it's wonderful, wonderful material that you're building.
Thank
so
you.
excited about your program. It's making such a difference.
Thank you.
So I want to thank each of you for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed this visit with Melanie as much as I have. And go check out palexperiences.org. Learn more about this really marvelous program. Share it with your family and friends because there's a lot of great stuff there. And if you'd like to learn more about what we do at Bloom, if you'd love to be part of a program as a mentor, a peer of Melanie's and other wonderful mentors, or if you'd like to have a mentor like Melanie, if you're a student in high school or college, visit us at bloomdevelopment.org and contact us or apply, and we'll look forward to welcoming you into the work that we do. Melanie, thank you, and I hope you have a really great day.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you.
too.
And thank you all. We'll see you next time.